Welcome to Stitches in Time, the podcast discussing Doctor Who the way it was meant to be watched, in chronological order, one clip at a time, starting at the Big Bang and ending with the heat death of the universe. I'm Becca, the Matrix Archivist, and I spent the last 12 years of my life meticulously editing the entire televised Doctor Who universe into chronological order.
And I'm Mandy, and I have a lot of experience being trapped in a room that demanded horrifying stories of me in order of my freedom. It was called therapy, and I had to pay for it.
Did your therapist, feed on your stories? Was that... Because I feel like if you have to pay for it, then your therapist is getting money.
I guess the money is to pay for the Tums after they've eaten my story.
Oh, okay. I understand. Once again joining us is Lemar, the con guy Harris.
What's up, everybody? I'm back. Mandy, you owe me some Tums, because I've heard some of your stories, and the acid reflux is strong. Very strong. Thanks for having me back, y'all. It's been so long.
Yeah. Thanks for coming back 2 weeks in a row.
Can't believe y'all found time for me to come back in 2 weeks, but here I am to watch another episode of Stitches in Time, where I, an expert in Doctor Who, a person who's watched every episode several times. In fact, I have about 4 copies of each DVD set that's ever been released. Watching it finally in the order of which is rightfully put together.
Yeah. And today we are discussing the Earthshock Tales of the TARDIS thing.
I think this thing needs feeding.
Oh, great. I knew we'd be in trouble.
Which I will give no further background on until Mandy and Lemar have given us their thoughts of what is happening in this clip.
Lemar, this is one where I actually do have a lot of context within the Stitches in Time. Stitches in Time has set this up. Okay. So I'm interested to hear what you thought of this episode, just as watching random. I mean, you saw the previous episode, and how that previous episode connects to what we're currently watching.
Yeah. Just for anyone listening, or for people who may not have watched or listened to the last episode, I haven't watched a lot of Doctor Who at all. I think I've seen 4 episodes, and then the 2 clips that this particular podcast have made me watch. So adjust your expectations really quick. I am deeming this the meaning of Christmas episode. What has happened is the Doctor is trying to get the Doctor and, I'm assuming, a new companion find themselves in a TARDIS of someone with ADHD. There's shit everywhere, and they are not sure how they got here, but they're very happy to see one another again. And at some point in the episode, they said,
"This is a remembered TARDIS, and memories thrive on stories. That's what it wants. Stories.
We have to remember something about our past in order to understand why we are here right now."
That's what the Saw Trap wants. It's what the Saw Trap requires.
The Saw Trap. And these 2 people sit down, and I think at some point the companion was like, "Let's talk about the time where we, held hands and gave puppies homes." And the Doctor's like, "No, we have to talk about that time." And then hard cut to them just going, "Yeah, that was rough. Oh, I missed you. I missed you too." And then end of clip.
Lemar, I kind of want to have you on just for your recaps of the clips.
Yeah,
so good.
That's something we do tend to be quite bad about. Is
yeah,
I do almost never recap what we have actually seen. I just assume that the audience has watched it, despite the fact, why would they do that?
Nope.
It's a bad time.
I mean, to be fair, most of our episodes have been like, oh, well, this clip is 4 seconds long, so I guess we're just gonna dissect this thing frame by frame if we have to.
This clip was actually like, what? This was a lengthy clip.
It was a chunky one.
Yeah, this was a chunker. Boy. But no, it's but the reason I call it Remembering Christmas is because like the background music was this adorable like sleigh bells jingle type thing that was happening the entire time. And then I don't, cause I'm gonna get in trouble. I don't sometimes understand the difference between middle-aged British people and older British people, but I believe that these two particular characters are supposed to be reminiscing about the younger times. So I'm assuming that this is a flashback of some sort. I know, they're both not supposed to be where they currently are. That's what is the context of the scene. We know that they're not supposed to be where they are, and the companion also knows it's a TARDIS, but doesn't recognize this TARDIS. So I think that part I might be a little off.
No, that's correct.
Can I jump in here and give some kind of Stitches in Time analysis? So last episode we brought this up about how kind of implying that the Stitches in Time may be the master edit. It may be the edit where we show that actually the master was the good guy the whole time and the doctor was the evil one. And this is it coming to fruition. You see, so we've previously established this place. We originally had Colin Baker and Perry together, and they had a delightful time. They weren't worried about what it is. They were just so happy to see one another again that they had a joyous time. They even started using the TARDIS. Not Peter Davison. When Peter Davison comes into this place, they're very concerned. They're like, we seem to be trapped here. We have to sacrifice something in order to get here. He does not want to be in this TARDIS, and that's because he does not want to face the truth. You see, they have to share the story, and they decide to share the story of Earthshock. And we have, because of the Stitches in Time story, we know the truth. We know what really happened, because they're going to be like, oh yeah, we really did the best that we could to save Adric, that guy who was in a cave and said, if you walk through here, I'll die. And then they walked right through him, and he screamed in pain because he died. And then he had to do a math problem. And no one was here to save him. No doctor, no one with a degree that might be able to assist in the math was able to help. And so he plunged to his death and also killed all those dinosaurs. And what was the reason that the doctor wasn't there? What was the reason that Peter Davison wasn't there? Because he was too busy talking to his son-in-law, who was also himself the 10th Doctor. So the 10th Doctor is implied in the death of this child. The two of them together did this, and that is why they are in that room together, and they have to confront their past. He has to confront his evils.
What the shit?
That's all pretty much the Stitches in Time version of events that Mandy's laid out there.
And it's, to take it fully back,
Please.
Before last episode, when was the last time we saw the Master? It was in Time Flight. Yeah. And that was when he had just escaped Castrovalva.
It all comes back to Castrovalva.
It all comes back to Castrovalva. Yeah. He escaped and he saw Peter Davison and was like, I know what you're going to do. I know that you're about to commit a heinous crime. And I'm going to make sure these people know about it. But then the BBC came. The doctor was paying the BBC and he paid him off and be like, no, I want you to manipulate the story. You got to tell it all out of time so that they don't know and they don't see the wickedness. That's why his face changed. That's why he went from looking in Time Flight and now he looks like an old guy. That happened. It wasn't everybody else. Everybody else, they just age gracefully, and in their mental image, they've just aged grace. Not him. That is the sign of his wickedness and his sin upon his face.
I fully accept that this is the true master doctrine of what has happened in the Doctor Who universe, because based on solely what I've, once again, for those of you who don't know, I've seen 4 episodes of Doctor Who in total, not in order, and then the last episode's clip and this episode's clip. And so far, I don't know what the Master has done that's been so evil, other than play a recorder. But the Doctor has caused so much shit within everyone else and themselves.
It's true. And I do like that so
We broke Becca. We broke Becca so hard.
This is
she's just feeling seen for the first time because she's worked so hard on this in order to let the truth be shown, and
finally.
It's the first time that someone actually understands what she's been trying to show us.
It's the deep emotions of finally stopping the master hate.
It's really nice to have someone on here who hasn't been indoctrinated by the BBC order. The BBC will throw all this propaganda at you. And they've been doing it since 1963. Well, no more.
They shot JFK and have done so much worse since. That was the start of their crimes.
It's been downhill since there.
I do like that Tegan in this clip is like, why are you so old? Did you have an accident? But then earlier in the Stitches in Time clip, we did see Time Crash. Like, yeah, he had an accident, and the 10th Doctor explained why he looked old. And then in the clip that we watched last week, he's still old. So I think this is just, Peter Davison's just old now. This is the 5th Doctor, what he looks like for the rest of the time.
Stuck that way. Maybe it happened that, like, the thing that they did, and David Tennant, when he released all the evils onto Peter Davidson's face, it actually went reverse in time. And that's why Tom Baker looks so bad.
I can't wait till someone clips the words "released all the evil" on his face out of context. Because that is what's going to...
Oh, yeah.
If y'all had listeners before, you're definitely going to have listeners after this.
Every episode, I'm like, maybe this is the one where we're not going to have an explicit tag. Nope, it's not this one.
Not this one. Fuck no. I'm starting to think that, again, I'm coming with a little bit of knowledge of what Doctor Who is. I'm not completely blind of Doctor Who. I know that the Doctor is reincarnations of himself. That's why he looks different each time. That's why he comes from a different region of the UK each time. But I'm starting to think like maybe it's like a disease or a mental disorder that just gets thrown back and forth to somebody. Because I've seen the Doctor talk to himself. The last episode, I saw the Doctor talk to themselves 6 times.
Am I allowed to be a loop on the third on main again on this podcast?
Yeah, why not?
Because they could do it through the loop on thing, and they have had implied through a couple of different things, mainly through a special called Green versus Red, that implies that Lupin is just a title that they give someone, but when they inherit that title, they are just possessed by the ghost of it, and it is actually a horrible thing that ruins your life. The ending up to it is like weirdly sad. It's like, oh, this guy, he was gonna get married, he was gonna give a happy life, and now he has to be Lupin the Third.
Wow. If we go by, not the BBC edit, not the Stitches in Time edit, but the Lemar edit, just based on the episodes that he's seen, there is that clip in Rose where she goes to the guy's house and he has all these like conspiracy theories about the Doctor, and he does say like,
no first name, no last name, just the Doctor. Always the Doctor. And the title seems to be passed down from father to son. It appears to be an inheritance. That's your Doctor there, isn't it?
So maybe there's some truth to that. I mean, Lemar has not has not actually
I'm not that
watched
far
any
off.
episodes where regenerations happen. So as far as he's concerned, it might just be like a family title.
I'm starting to think that, okay, so far in my history of listening to British media, they tend to like the same person doing the same job as different bodies. So the Doctor is really just Space James Bond, who gets the 00 title every couple of times. And so I don't think the Doctor ever truly dies. I think they just lose control of the TARDIS, and it gets to somebody else who gets control of the TARDIS, memories of what happened in the past, and the current Doctor that lost control still exists somewhere else.
So it's like the mask.
Yes!
The mask.
Yes! You just get passed back and forth. That's why you can have the memories of the old guys, because they just stop. They just don't have to worry about it anymore. But that makes the most sense to me, and it still makes no sense.
I mean, Russell T Davies said something along those lines with the bi-generation rippling back. It doesn't actually make any sense, but it's sort of clear that his headcanon is a particular thing, and so it kind of sounds like maybe that's what it is.
There has to be an entity, and again, I haven't watched Doctor Who. I'm assuming there's like an entity, like a space bureau of Doctor investigation that just decides who's going to be the Doctor. I can't wait for that episode to happen so that we can see the bureaucracy of like, all right, this person has done nothing of importance in their life. No one will miss them when they leave, and they're from some small village of 50 people in the edge of the UK. Just pluck them out, throw them into a train that's about to crash, have them introduce themselves as the Doctor, find another random human to go with them. And
why are they getting isekai'd in the middle of that?
Every Doctor has been isekai'd. It's just not Truck-kun. Every single one that I'm aware of, they die of some miraculous event. David Tennant has died 3 times, and I don't even know how. I know he has.
Right.
Yeah, that's very fair. I know everyone's like, oh, Doctor Who loves David Tennant, but they keep killing him, so maybe they really hate David Tennant.
The Doctor's just an isekai every time, and Truck-kun is the Earth exploding. That's all it really is.
There's so much Doctor Who lore that you're correct. Like, technically...
Let's go! Let's go!
Like, the whole thing with the timeless child, that's like, yeah. Like, you're completely true. Like, everything you said is true. I think when there's as much lore about a property as there is about Doctor Who, like, you can say just about anything, and, like, in my head, I'm like, yeah, I've watched that scene. Yeah, no, I've seen that. That happened, like,
oh my god,
a couple of times.
I'd imagine that the Doctor Who writers have fallen into the Simpsons trap, that they have written so much Doctor Who that they've plagiarized themselves by now.
Yeah, and this episode where they just watch one of their old episodes.
Yeah. Is this a flashback episode?
So what this was a thing that came out last year. It was a series of things that they did where they wanted to do releases of classic episodes, but then they filmed these framing device episodes, and they're all on board this like weird chaos TARDIS. And it's always like a doctor and a companion or a couple companions sitting down and just like reminiscing. Cuts to and plays the whole 4 episodes of the classic series, and then it like comes back to them.
Yeah, that's why they always do that kind of, they look to a TV and then they look back and be like, yeah, that was a hard time. at least according to the BBC edit, again, Stitches in Time edit, we know the truth, but clearly the BBC, they needed to do something with these scenes.
Right.
So rather than show the truth, they was like, oh, well, we'll just imply that it's just a framing device around a rerun.
Right.
So that you're like, it kind of obfuscate.
I have a quick question, because Becca, as a person who is the head of the Master was the good guy the whole time club, and the editor and releaser of the Stitches in Time edit,
right.
What made you put this particular scene in this particular place in the order? Because they are reminiscing about something that has the thing they're reminiscing about happened in the Stitches in Time edit.
Part of it.
Okay.
The main bit, the bit of why they would be sad and they'd be like, "Oh, this is the truth that we have to tell in order to be free. This is the saw trap. We have to prove that we that we can go through a horrible stuff and still want to survive."
Right.
That's what we saw that scene.
Oh, okay. Okay, so but I'm still wondering, why does that belong here in the edit? Like, because it's supposed to be in chronological order.
Right.
I'm assuming this would have happened so early in their life.
So here's what I've done. When, much like the last episode that you were on, when something happens, because I do acknowledge that people do time travel in this universe. Right. I'm not interested in time traveling with them, which is why I'm doing this edit. That's probably the best explanation I've ever given of what Stitches in Time is.
Yeah.
I'm sick of all this time travel.
You're aware of it.
Yeah.
We're all aware when things are wrong.
So I literally, I go to random.org and I put in some parameters to find a random place in the sometime between the Big Bang and the heat death of the universe for stuff. And this just happens to landed here. And
yeah. The truth was waiting to be seen.
Mandy and I were talking a little bit off mic before you got in about how just the random number generator did Peter Davison so dirty, because
the universe is in the randomness. The universe and the Master wanted us to see. The Master owns random.org.
Oh.
See, that's what it is. It was a website was put up many years ago for this very need.
Exactly. I can't think of another reason why somebody would need a random number for any other thing other
Absolutely
than
not. Just
putting
for this.
Doctor Who into chronological order.
I hope whatever memory they had, because the thing is that the clip we watched, starts with "Hey, nice to see you. Why are we here?" It ends with "Man, that was rough." And then that's the end of the scene. I don't know if they get out. Like, I don't know what the next thing that happens is, because you would think that the next scene is them leaving or figuring out why they got there. But, and again, for those of you who did not watch the last episode, they offered me the ability to watch more or less of the episodes, but I was told that we're watching this clip, and I watched this clip because this is the Stitch in Time of which we exist.
It's true.
It's the correct way. An important thing that you should have as context, Lemar, you might have heard Tegan, who's the other character, she was talking about how she finally got to go back to Brisbane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Her entire character is just, she is Australian, she's a flight attendant, she doesn't want to be there, and she just wants to go back to being a flight attendant. And so I'm so glad that while they're doing this whole, the doctor is having to acknowledge his crimes, she's like,
back to work. See, this is another thing about the Master that's right. The doctor kidnaps these poor people and forces them.
Yeah. So it's so good because then she just gets to go, oh yeah, so I made it back to Australia and I got to be a flight attendant and I've put most of the thoughts of what happened to us out of my mind.
As is tradition in the 90s.
I really like the end of this, and I think this is admittedly more, it like hits you more if you watch it with the entire episode of Earthshock in between these clips. They reminisce, they have this whole like flashback of this massive adventure with the Cybermen and all this like adventure and tragedy and action and explosions. And then he's like,
Now, tell me stories about you. About life, about everyday things.
Little tiny boring human things, you mean?
I made it back to Australia. And I feel like the fact that they don't cut to anything that, like, any of her stuff is like, yeah, well, it's no Earthshock, is it? It's no Cybermen. Well, fuck you. We don't...
We've already established that's what we want. We just want to watch her be a flight attendant.
We just want some mundane human life for a second.
They did the same thing with Perry previously, because they were like, oh, you like married a warlord. You're like a big deal now. And she's like, yeah, but then I just went back to Earth and just hung out. And now I like going to TJ Maxx. It's TJ Maxx, not TK Maxx, because Perry is American.
She's American, yep.
Who's American?
Don't worry about it.
I haven't heard one American accent since I started this thing, and I watched the Rosa Parks episode. I have not heard one American accent since I started this thing.
Well, with Perry, you sure don't either.
Yeah. Yeah, Perry was a companion. I really like that. Just we're talking about previous episodes of the podcast that Lemar was not on, and then just like expecting him to just be kind of like, yeah, this will catch him up. This will all make sense to him, right?
What I kind of wish this clip did, and it's so much more work for you, Beck, but it's okay. I kind of wish that you started the clip, ended the clip, allowed a whole bunch of shit to happen that would have happened in the time that they needed to remember it, and then put the end of the clip back to like how much time would be needed. So there's like 2 or 3 hours of Doctor Who content before the next clip of, man, that was a good memory, wasn't it?
Hey, Lemar, how long does it take you to remember things? I'm a little concerned for you.
It depends on how much I had to tell. I don't know. I'm not a freaking doctor.
We don't know if they told.
Lemar, I will say that if any future randomly generated time code ends up being also at around 6.56 million BC, just out of sheer coincidence, there is also a very small chance that I will just stick it into between those two.
Please
I think it's pretty much impossible, but it could happen.
I believe in you, Beck. You can do anything you put your mind to because you are an intelligent person.
Aw, thanks.
And also, I want to see this. It's also funny that they could just be thinking of nothing. They could just like, remember that? Oh, that was nice.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to just be like, you know, an hour and a half of them just sitting there like staring off into you know, the middle distance. Just
are you releasing this to the public? Because that would be hilarious if you did upload 1 hour of a clip of the start of this and then just freeze framed an hour and then continued. Just freeze framed them both sitting just thinking and then just started it again.
The answer, Lemar, is no. Becca would never do that because then Disney would be upset and they'd cry and we'd never upset Disney. So there's no way to find a thing through your Google apparatus.
Don't fight the mouse. I understand. It is a quiet rule in the City of Lights where you do not fight the mouse.
I really like all of the extra work that Mandy is implicitly making me do for this podcast.
Have you met Mandy? That's their superpower.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's fair.
I've recently learned that Becca has set it up so that if Disney finds out about this podcast, I'm the person they go to first.
They got your names on everything. Which is why I like to say I know nothing. I know nothing about Doctor Who. I've seen 4 episodes. And one of those episodes was Jason Statham. So it's great.
Oh, okay. I see your game now. You've only watched 4 episodes of Doctor Who.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Wink,
absolutely
wink,
true.
wink, wink. Yeah.
As a person who's been to both Gallifrey and Doctor Who Con, about to be twice San Diego Who Con.
You're about to be running karaoke at San Diego Who Con.
This is correct. I was in a tabletop role-playing panel the last time I was at San Diego Who Con, and now I'm about to run karaoke for San Diego Who Con. They want me, I've been pinged to do the same for Lost Con. I'm going to be the most famous non-Doctor Who person at all of these conventions. My very first time to go to Gallifrey, I popped up in day 0, I sang My Heart Will Go On and disappeared.
Wow.
There's a whole room of people who saw me do Celine Dion and never saw me again.
They were so excited to meet you at the Doctor Who Fans of Color panel.
All 5 of us. No.
It's a small room, and they do not fill it.
It's okay. Hopefully, with the announcement of the new Doctor, you'll be able to get half full.
Yay.
Yay! Or when this podcast finally gets invited to present at Gallifrey, I'll be there for you guys if you want me there.
We would love to have you there.
That would be hilarious. Lemar summarizes clips of Doctor Who with no context. Let me know if you ever want me just to summarize other clips for other podcasts. So when you finally have people who know what the hell they're talking about back on here, they don't have to summarize the complete insanity that they saw for 8 minutes.
Yeah, I would ask that of you, but there are some episodes that we're just talking about like a full ass hour and a half of classic Doctor Who. It's just well, it's just kind of painful. I don't know if I want to subject Lemar, who is already not a Doctor Who fan, to this.
I'm not against it. I want everyone to know I'm not against Doctor Who. But the introduction to this fandom is so deep end. Like, it's not a slow ramp in any way.
Yeah, for sure.
No.
It's like the One Piece of space nerds. It's so many episodes. You don't know where to start. It's overwhelming. Some people say you can start with the Jason Statham guy. Some people say you have to start with the first Doctor. Who's the name of the actual Doctor? I keep calling him Jason Statham, but what's his actual name?
Christopher Eccleston.
There you go. Yes.
I really like Jason Statham.
It's just a tall Jason Statham.
Now I just want to dub over all of his lines with just the same line, but me doing a Jason Statham impression.
That's the next podcast.
You know that feeling? They tell you that the Earth is spinning massively, real fast under your feet. But you can't quite believe it, because it seems like everything's standing still. I can feel it. I feel it all the time. That's who I am. Now forget me, Rose Tyler.
I can't wait. I need this.
That's just also a quote from that Melissa McCarthy movie he was in.
Oh, God. Why did you bring that movie back into my memory? God, I can't.
It's weird that he said that was in 2 different things. Nobody put it together until just now.
you guys are like, what, 20 some odd episodes into this podcast run, right?
Yeah.
If someone would say, like, roughly each clip is between 4 to 8 minutes, you would be about 2 hours into the timeline of Stitches in Time by now?
Well, it depends, because some of them, again, we are watching, like, the first,
Let me look at my spreadsheet.
full hours, because we're into, like, we're into the 5th hour of it now.
Okay, so it's 5 hours. What?
Yeah.
So some podcasts must have clips of 30 minutes or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are some clips that are literally 4 seconds long. We've had quite a few of those, honestly. And then we've had a handful of like full episodes of the classic series, which are like, when I say full episodes, like several part episodes.
Right.
So that's like, yeah, Time Flight was like over an hour. I think Space Museum was at over an hour as well. Like,
I am curious for the third Doctor, because I know that one doesn't travel. He can't time travel.
Yeah.
Are we just going to be doing like each story? Or are we just going to watch all of it in one?
Oh my god. No, I will not do that to you. I think I was thinking about like what to do, because like I think I might, if there are like classic episodes that are more than 4 episodes long and they're all like in a row, I feel like we might break those up into like 2 episodes of the podcast, just because it's a lot of prep time for.
No, but if it happened in the order, you have to know what happened in the order of which it happened. If there's some Time Lords that are just trapped within 5 days of the world, then we need to watch what they did for 5 days. That is the spirit of the Stitches in Time. They are stuck there, and so shall we. Podcast listeners, you tell Becca and Mandy, no skipping, only chronological order, so we can
We're
see.
still doing it. We're just shortening.
That is a standard that I hold myself to, but I don't expect that of all of our guests.
No. If you're going to be a guest on this podcast, which you put so much effort into, in which the information I needed to start this podcast was already in the email that I did not clearly read all the way through, then your guest can watch all 5 hours of one doctor just walking to the store.
I really like that now you have on one end of the spectrum Ben Padden, who is just like so against the premise of this show to begin with. They're such a diehard like Doctor Who fan, and then on the other end of the spectrum,
BBC fan.
Exactly, yeah.
And now I'm seeing through them. Lemar, you might have to come back and undo what you did.
And then like on the other end of the spectrum, you've got Lemar, who is mad at us for like not committing enough to this bit.
Gotta commit to the bit. You have to commit all the way. Look, the Master has a story, and it needs to be told in its entirety.
Look, the random.org was an expensive domain.
It was a very expensive domain. At least $50.
Do you think he knows how to code? It took him a long time to figure out how to make that random number generator.
Probably the entire time it took him to learn to play the recorder.
Coding is the recorder of computer.
As a person who works with computers professionally, I can tell you, yes.
100%.
100%.
I'm using a computer right now.
What? Shock and then awe, Becca. Shock.
Look, we can all do your job, Lemar.
God damn it. Don't tell the people. I need to buy more ramen snacks. I don't know what a ramen snack is, but that's what came out of my brain. And my brain is never wrong.
I just pictured you unwrapping like one of those like instant ramen packs, but instead of putting it into water, you just take a bite out of it like it's a granola bar.
There are people who are that evil in the world who have done this unironically.
Yeah.
I bet that's what the Master does.
Nope, no, you're not going to push more of the BBC propaganda
You're right. I'm sorry. I bet that's what the doctor. I bet that's how
There
the
you
doctor
go.
eats Robin.
Yeah. That's how the fourth Doctor got his face like that.
Oh man!
And the only clip we've seen of the fourth Doctor is when he's talking to that walking ramen man.
Oh yeah. Oh, the noodle guy. Yeah.
Yeah, the noodle guy. There's a guy who's made of noodles.
Yeah. They killed him.
Have you heard the name River Song? Do you know?
Oh, so many times. Apparently,
Okay.
she's like the for a wily lack of a better term, the batshit crazy one.
Sure. I mean, they're all kind of bad. Have you been watching these clips? Okay. Like, her whole deal is that she's a time traveler, so that, like, she meets the Doctor, like, out of order. Mm-hmm. So even if you're watching the BBC version of it, sometimes she's younger, sometimes she's older than when you last saw her, like, it's sort of thing.
Wait, okay. River Song can travel by herself?
Yeah.
What? I don't know why I'm putting up story blocks into Doctor Who. Like, that shouldn't be possible. And I know that this is not what Stitches in Time is about, but I have a very important question. How in the shit is River Song able to time travel by herself? Is she also a doctor? Did she catch the 00 disease that lets her use her TARDIS?
Sometimes she's also a fish with feet.
What? Wait. First thing, Mandy, what did you say?
Sometimes she's not just also the Doctor a little bit. She's also sometimes a fish with feet. According to Stitches in Time.
I don't know why
that's a Stitches in Time piece of lore, not a Doctor Who piece of lore.
So the right piece of lore. So a fish with feet became sentient, which is how evolution works.
Well, first she drew on a mountain,
and
then she was a fish with feet, but then she was crushed and was reborn as River Song.
So River Song is a doctor? Is a Time Lord?
A little bit.
Sort of. Yeah, sort of. Sort of.
On a technicality.
It's
like, technically she got, as you were talking with the masks, like the kind of mask scenario of like how the Doctor is the Doctor, this kind of relates, because it does imply that Time Lord is like an STD that you can get.
Yes.
And I feel like she got it passed down. More because it didn't affect her mother, but it did affect her. So it's more of like Accutane, where they like, and they put on it, like on the pill, they show like a picture of like, no pregnant, because it'll mess up your baby if you take this medication and get pregnant.
If you take Accutane while pregnant, you give birth to a Time Lord. That's the moral of Doctor Who.
Okay, so River Song, which is arguably the most famous companion, I would say, because I've heard of River Song way more than even most of the Doctors, to be honest with you. So River Song is the Robin to the Doctor Who Batman.
She's like...
Well, I was gonna say, but if they fuck, but I saw Batman and Robin. I saw Batman Forever.
So the Master's the Joker, the Doctor's Batman.
I
think River Song is Catwoman. I think it's that.
Ah, okay.
Because, like, she's, like, off doing her own thing, and, like, sometimes it's morally ambiguous, but also they fuck sometimes.
Okay. I like how this episode has become get Lemar to understand bits of the lore of Doctor Who.
Which we haven't talked about the actual clip in years.
There's nothing to talk about the clip. The clip is... There's nothing to talk about.
I will in fact argue that no, this is the spirit of the memory TARDIS that's going to make you remember things. This is where explaining the lore is in there. The truth is in there. So if you're asking unrelated questions, maybe, I don't know, we can roll back the clip. It's something that kind of just like Slumdog Millionaire made you think of River Song.
Right. That's true. Nothing is off topic in a remembered TARDIS.
This is a flashback episode. And so all it is just me trying to remember bits and pieces
of stuff that has not happened yet.
This is a flashback episode, but it's about the concept of flashbacks.
Okay. Because the thing is this episode, if I take everything you guys have presented to me as absolute fact, as in this is, as it is, the true way we're supposed to view this.
Yeah.
We went from last episode I was on, the Master getting kicked out of his TARDIS, playing the flute, Jodie talking to the old doctors, preventing a terrible thing of yeeting herself, go back to the Master, gets back in the TARDIS, the Master goes, I'm fun, guys, really I am! And then now, hard cut to remember the time TARDIS.
Well, the Peter Davidson left Jodie's brain and went here.
Yeah, okay. Alright, so we're technically still, we're a sub-brain. So we're it's like in that movie of Inception. So we're three brains in.
And we also have to remember that all of the stuff with Jodie was actually the Master thinking of, like, imagining it.
True.
So it's the Master dreaming of Jodie, dreaming of older incarnations, and then that older incarnation goes into the memory TARDIS, which also is a thing. I feel like the memory TARDIS, like, people have said in it, I don't know if it was this one or the last clip, but they're like, oh, it's remembering us, and that's why we're here. It implies that they might not actually exist, so they may not be getting out at all.
No. What could be happening, this is what I'm thinking is, okay, the Master is thinking of Jodie because he needs to figure out how to get the full power of the Doctor. Gets Jodie to go there, starts thinking about that, and then he needs to figure out where to go next. And so now he's having the memory TARDIS unlock another core memory so that we can see the terrible thing the Doctor did, because based on what y'all told me earlier this episode, this memory Doctor, through their inaction, killed somebody. So this is all just unraveling a deep onion of the Doctor's evil.
Yeah, this is like a whole, like, Peter Davison Fifth Doctor arc that we're watching unfold.
I now have a theory based off of, like, what Stitches in Time has. I am rejecting what I know about Doctor Who in favor of the Stitches in Time. Like, what I believe that it's foreshadowing is that we will find out that the Master is just the Doctor plus time.
Oh. You either die a Doctor or you live long enough to see yourself become a Master.
Like, it's just like 27 Doctors in. It's like, actually, no, I think I suck and now I'm going to try to kill myself.
Wasn't there like a Batman comic where, like, it turned out the Joker was just Bruce Wayne but from the distant future? And like,
I bet there is. I guarantee there is.
I know there's one where, like, a Batman is Bruce's like, it was Bruce Wayne died, so Batman is the father and the Joker is the mother, just responding to trauma in different ways.
Oh, wild.
Look, mental health facilities were way different in the 90s. You had to figure out how to deal with your grief in one way or another.
You just had to be the Joker about it. I'm pretty sure that that's what those Joaquin Phoenix movies are about. Sometimes you just gotta be a Joker about it.
What I'm hoping that Stitches in Time eventually does is that it kind of unravels each Doctor as it needs to be. So we'll have these onions of unlocking memories. So it's like, now it's the fifth Doctor that was bad. And then we're going to see, like, the third Doctor was bad. And it's just the way for the Master to show us in his own eyes what we should have known the entire time.
God.
I mean, for all we know, I don't know when we get out of the Master's mind. Maybe the rest of Doctor Who is just the Master thinking about it. It's
Not
we don't
wrong.
we gotta get the little spinny top from Inception. We don't know which one it'll be.
Is it still spinning? Is it still spinning?
Well, I think that wraps it up for this episode. I feel like my brain juice has been pretty well drained.
I feel like it's all coming together. I'm feeling like really enlightened.
Good. I feel like the vibe between Mandy is just like the more sane one of us feels, the more insane the other feels, and it's a very good dynamic.
I have to listen to the episodes after me to see what having a guest that knows what the hell's going on is like.
It's gonna be interesting.
It's gonna be something.
Lemar, remind us one more time where people can find you on the web.
Absolutely. Everybody, my name is Lemar the Con Guy Harris. You can find me at Lemar the Con Guy. That's Lemar, the Con, C-O-N, Guy, on all social medias made before 2023. And then you can find me on Linktree, linktr.ee/Lemar the Con Guy, or go to LemarTheConGuy.com. I am a comedian. I am a host. I am a singer. I have imposter syndrome. I am a dungeon master, I'm an ordained minister, and I am currently actively trying to figure out how to buy a doctorate so that when the next family union I go to, I can introduce myself to my family as Dr. Reverend Lemar the Con Guy.
I don't know the timeline of us recording things, so if you are going to / have been to San Diego WhoCon, you can / will already have seen Lemar at
when
karaoke.
is that happening, Lemar?
Saturday night, let's go!
He's doing it right now. As it's listening in your ears. When are you listening in your ears? It doesn't matter. Lemar is always doing karaoke.
Absolutely true.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us again.
Anytime, I had an absolute blast.
I'm so glad. We've had a blast having you on. Listeners, next time we've got... Our next episode is the Time Meddler, but also just the Tales of the TARDIS scenes, because random.org fucking hates me. Bye, everyone.
What will the master dream up next?
Thanks for listening to Stitches in Time. Music by Becca the Matrix Archivist. Art by Mandy Akenda. Logo by Ben Patton. Please make sure to rate us and leave us a nice review. It helps new fans find the show. And once again joining us, we have... let's take that again so I don't say once again 6 times.
You got old.
You didn't. Not one line.
Don't get clever.
Oh, there's one. 100.
That's enough.
Also, I have to... I will be right back. You can either continue talking amongst yourselves. I don't think anyone will notice that I'm gone. I'll be real quick.
Okay, bye.
Miss you. Goodbye. Welcome to the Stitches in Time podcast.
Very nice day. You know, I'm gonna leave too. Now you have to host this podcast for the rest of the.
Welcome to the Master Was Right podcast, starring Lemar, where we watch Doctor Who in the proper order so that you know that Time Lord bastard was the problem the entire time. Kidnapping good, respectable Brits for 50 years to do random shenanigans in the universe while this poor man, Dean the Master, tried to warn all of you of the problems of the Doctor. That's why we call him Doctor Who, because we don't know who he really is. It should be called Doctor What? Doctor, what have you been doing this entire time?
Doctor, what are you hiding?
Doctor, what are you hiding?